Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to pick number 29 of albums that are 30 years old in 2025. We're going to be looking back all month long at 1995, picking out our 31 favorites because there's 31 days in March. Our 31 favorite albums that are celebrating their 30th anniversaries and birthdays this year in March of 2025. I got a good one for you here today. This is a album that the first time I heard it, I believe this was the second album that I heard from this band. I heard their second album first. I wound up buying their second album, this one, then I got their debut, kind of in that order. But for many, many years, this was my favorite album by this British band. It was released January 30th, 1995, recorded at, all over the place, it looks like, lots of different studios, produced by the man himself, Steve Wilson, for Delirium Records. I'm talking about The Sky Moves Sideways by Porcupine Tree. Call it prog rock, sure. To me, this is much, much more of a space rock and psychedelic rock album, with blending of kind of like, at the time, alternative pop elements and whatnot in their music. But, mainly my interpretation of this album as far as like the biggest influence seems to be like Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here, Animals era, like big time, maybe a little bit of Dark Side of the Moon, as well as kind of the stuff going on with like Radiohead of the time. There's moments of like ambient and trance on here. There's some, more rockin' stuff on here as well, but it's the long kind of spacey, psychedelic pieces and jams and things like that I think really work so well for this band. For a while, I was more into this than when they started doing like shorter, tunes and heavier stuff. But then I got really taken in by the more hard rockin' version of Porcupine Tree and the more song based stuff. But for there's a lot to love on this record. So this album has the lineup of Steven Wilson, of course, on vocals, guitars, and keyboards. Like I said, he all the programming, engineered the album. Colin Edwin on bass, Richard Barbieri on keyboards, on electronics programming, and Chris Maitland on drums, along with a little bit of help from Theo Travis, who plays a little flute on one track, Ricky Edwards, some additional percussion, things like that. So the interesting thing about this album is there's the original European release, physical release, vinyl and CD, and then a kind of reconfigured album for here in the US. And then later on, with a, various remasters, again reconfigured again. So this album, I actually, back in the day, I bought the original European release. As you can see, it says 2 CD, because basically what I did was I bought the European release and then the US release, because there's differences, and I put them both in a 2 CD jewel case thing. So I've got both booklets and both tray cards and the 2 CDs and whatnot, because like I said, there are some differences. So for the European release, it starts off with The Sky Moves Sideways Phase 1, which is just under 19 minutes long. It's like a 4-part epic suite. It's very Floydy, great vocals from Wilson, and a really haunting chorus. Lots of great like synths and keyboards and searing guitar. He's, to me at this point in time in the career of Porcupine Tree and Steven Wilson, his guitar work at times is reminiscent, of course, of David Gilmour, but also of Stephen Rothery from Marillion. I get a lot of both of those guys that kind of like emotional, very melodic style of guitar playing. But that The Sky Moves Sideways Phase 1, great song. Next is Dislocated Day, which is is the like harder rocking song on here. I think Dislocated Day perfectly gives you a feel of where the band's going to go on subsequent albums and years, right? Of course, the band kind of moves into more of a heavier prog space rock style in subsequent albums after this. And that is really, I think, what most people remember them more for, right? And kind of forget this early, like kind of space rock period. But Dislocated Day is great. Great guitar licks on that. Just really good. The Moon Touches Your Shoulder. Very cool. dreamy. Right, they do the dreamy thing really well at this point in time. You've got Prepare Yourself. It's a shorter piece. Moon Loop, very, very cool. Moon Loop is like, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a series of loops and synthesizer programming with some cool guitar solos. Just very space rocky, but not space rock like Hawkwind. Like I said, more like that classic Pink Floyd sound, right? And then The Sky Moves Sideways Phase 2. Again, which is a two-part epic comprised of Is, Not, and Off the Map. Just under 17 minutes long. Like I said, Moon Loop is also 17 minutes long. The Sky Moves Sideways Phase 2 is a really great place to go if you want to hear the guitar skills of Steven Wilson. He does like two main solos in the song that take up a good chunk of the track. The first is kind of noisy, using some whammy bar and effects and things like that. A lot of kind of dissonant sounds. And then the second solo is very much more in that kind of like Steve Rothery, David Gilmour type of thing. The more kind of, the melodic lines and playing with lots of bends and feels and motion and stuff like that. Very, really cool stuff. Very good album. On the U.S. release, basically how it's laid out is they've got it's The Sky Moves Sideways Phase 1, okay, the 4-part that starts off the album. And then for track number 5, you've got Stars Die, which was originally a non-album single released with the album in Europe. And they decided for the U.S. release, because it's a pop song, basically, they decided to kind of throw that into the mix on the U.S. release, which, not a bad idea. Didn't really work out as far as, like, hit play would be concerned. But very kind of cool, like I said, kind of like electronic pop, dreamy pop song. It reminds me of David Bowie a little bit. Maybe some people might say it reminds of kind of like Radiohead, that sort of thing. I think it's a cool song. It's got a great chorus, which is really good. Then, you do get Moon Loop, you do get Dislocated Day, and then also The Moon Touches Your Shoulder, right? But The Moon Touches Your Shoulder is it's a little bit longer, which is crazy, I guess. And then The Sky Moves Sideways Phase 2 finishes off the album as well. So basically, it's whether you want Stars Die. I figured I had to get the album with Stars Die, and a kind of like the whole middle of the album is kind of like sequenced a little bit differently. So I felt I really needed the Stars Die as well. But they do various things that, the 2004 expanded remaster kind of changes the track listing. Again, it's a 2 discs, so you've got The Sky Moves Sideways Phase 1, Dislocated Day, The Moon Touches Your Shoulder, Prepare Yourself, then The Sky Moves Sideways Phase 2, and then over on disc 2 you got The Sky Moves Sideways, an alternate version, which is basically the two of them combined, but a little different, almost 35 minutes long. Then Stars Die, then Moon Loop, the main version of Moon Loop, and then Moon Loop Coda, which is another like 5 minutes. So you got like over 21 minutes of Moon Loop. I know, crazy stuff, right? Lots of different versions of this, but it's very easy now to get the full blown Sky Moves Sideways with the remaster. I think that's really the way to go. And I'm sure it sounds great and whatnot. So yeah, that's my pick for today. Let me see if I have any additional information. I don't think so. Yeah, so at this point in time, the band not that they were ever really a household name, but Porcupine Tree would become a fairly bigger band in the years to come. I think I always felt that this band would really break out in a big way. And I think, out of all the kind of more contemporary prog bands, I think they're one of the most notable for sure over the last 30 years or so. But I always kind of felt that, when they were on Lava Records, division of Atlantic, I always thought that would be their big break. And it kind of was, sort of, but they never quite achieved the success of some other bands, I think, that kind of played in this field that, kind of bridged the gap between classic progressive rock and, pop and alternative and that sort of thing. So, but a great album. To me, it's just a great space rock album. So Sky Moves Sideways is my pick for today from Porcupine Tree. If you are a fan, let us know what you think of this album down in the comments below, as well as your pick for today. pick number 29, and we'll see you tomorrow for number 28. Right, we're going to count them down all the way to number 1, which will be revealed on the final day of March. And what do we got coming up here on the channel? Don't forget Hudson Valley Squares tonight. We've got a very cool album. I'm calling it like a battle royal, even though it's an album war. And we're going to go back to 1985. And for those of you who follow 1985, a lot of really good albums released, right? Because we did a whole month of that last month. But we're picking 5 classic hard rock / metal albums from 1985. Celtic Frost, Armored Saint, Accept, Wasp, and Savatage are the bands that will be in the war tonight. All their 1985 albums. So tune in to see who wins. And visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also down below we got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page, our Cameo page, and the Sea of Tranquility membership options all listed down below. Thank you in advance for all your support there. It's always greatly appreciated. And like I said, we'll see you soon here with more stuff. Pick number 28 tomorrow, Hudson Valley Squares tonight. We've got new reviews happening all week long. We've got, what else happening? UK Connections this week, and ranking the albums of Liege Lord coming up on Sunday. John Gaffney, Rich Catino, and myself will be ranking the albums of the great U.S. traditional metal, power metal band Liege Lord. Big, very cool band in the 80s. And we've got a special guest going to be joining us. None other than former Fates Warning bassist and current bass player of the reunited Liege Lord, Joe DiBiase. He's going to be joining Rich and John and myself on Sunday. So that's coming up on Ranking the Albums this week. 3 studio albums. All 3 are killer. Go check them out. Get ready for the ranking. We'll see you then. I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.